And the first years of my life, I did what so many Jews did. I became very active in the civil rights movement on behalf of African Americans, became active on behalf of other minorities and other dispossessed people. I defended a lot of people on death row. And how did I make the transition over the past 20 years to very heavy emphasis on the rights of Jews and the rights of people in Israel? It came about in the early 1970s when I was a civil rights lawyer and defending a lot of people on the left. And a lot of people on the left turned against Israel, and I couldn't understand it. Why is Daniel Berrigan, a Catholic priest, calling Israel a criminal Jewish society? Why are radical leftists turning so strongly against Israel? Israel had the best human rights record, if not in the world, certainly among the best in the world, the best in the Middle East. A woman was prime minister, Golda Meir. Today a woman is the chief justice of Israel. Another woman is the leader of the Knesset in Israel. Gays serve openly in the Israeli military, openly in the Knesset. There's almost as much rights for gays in Israel as there is in Iran. Of course, Iran has no gays, so they don't have to worry about that issue. They figured out a way of dealing with their gays the same way they figured out of dealing with their dissidents. You saw that just today 6 more people were sentenced to die for participating in demonstrations. And yet on college campuses, the campaigns are against Israel, divestment from Israel, not divestment from Iran. In fact, the left supports Iran, welcomes Ahmadinejad to places like Columbia University to speak. Ahmadinejad is more welcome at Columbia University to speak than I am. And that tells you something about the situation in many American universities. When I was invited to come to Columbia University, the faculty did not invite me. Students had to invite me over the objection of faculty, but Ahmadinejad was invited by the faculty. And as a human rights activist who believes strongly in human rights, believes in civil liberties, believes in defending the underdog, believes in justice, how could I not turn my attention to Israel? I honestly believe, I'm not positive, but I honestly believe that if I had not been born Jewish, I would still be as supportive of Israel and the rights of Israel as I am as a Jew, on pure civil liberties, neutral principles of human rights. And I have to tell you, I have friends for whom that's true. My friend Skip Gates, Henry Louis Gates Jr., African-American distinguished professor at Harvard, is as strong a Zionist as there is, without any Jewish background, obviously because of his strong belief in civil liberties and human rights. And I have many friends not in the Jewish community who feel the same way. But too many on the left, and too many among the Jews on the left, believe that Israel is a pariah, single out Israel for a double standard, and I will not abandon Israel so long as Israel is picked on. You know, I didn't want to write my book, The Case for Israel. Nobody has to write a book, The Case for Canada. Nobody writes The Case for France. Maybe somebody should. Why did I have to write The Case for Israel? Because Israel is so vilified and so demonized and so discredited and so delegitimated in the court of public opinion. And so I felt it necessary. The other reason is because Jews didn't stand up strongly enough for Jewish values in Israel. First popular book I wrote about Judaism, my son edited it, and he wrote the first sentence. My son is here tonight. And it starts with the words, American Jews don't have enough chutzpah. And people said, what are you talking about? American Jews have chutzpah written all over them. He was right. American Jews don't have enough chutzpah. When Jonathan Pollard was arrested, Jews were refusing to stand up for him. Oh my God, he's a shanda. He's an embarrassment to the Jewish community. When problems occur in Israel, Jews are terrified about standing up for their own rights. Well, I'm not a Jew who gets terrified easily, and I'm going to continue to stand up for the rights of Jews and for the rights of Israel as long as they're engendered and as long as Israel is right. I'm not going to defend Israel's policies that I disagree with. And I think it's perfectly okay for a Jewish supporter of Israel, for an American Jew, for an Israeli Jew, to be critical of certain Israeli policies. I'll give you an example. When my daughter and my wife went to Israel with me some years ago, and my daughter and my wife joined the Women of the Wall, they wanted to pray at the Kotel on Rosh Chodesh and read from the Torah. They were prepared to do it in the women's section, but they wanted to read. And a few Haredi Jews said, no, you can't listen to Kol Isha, the voice of a woman. And they threw chairs at my wife and daughter. And I went to court. on behalf of Reform Jews and conservative Jews who were discriminated against in Israel, and we brought legal action. I was critical of Israel's policies. I'm critical of some of Israel's policies in terms of civilian settlements. That doesn't mean you can't be critical and at the same time support Israel in the strongest way. I'll just end this question with one brief point. I like to make the 80% case for Israel, not the 100% case for Israel. The case for Israel that there is a broad consensus within the Jewish community, within the Israeli community. And to illustrate it, when I wrote a book called The Case for Peace, I got two people to give me blurbs on the back cover. One of them was Ariel Sharon, the lion of the right, and the other was Amos Oz, the peacenik of the left. And they both agreed, they agree on nothing. But they agreed on the case I made for peace because I didn't get into the settlements. I didn't get into the divisive issues. What I don't like about J Street, I don't mind some of its positions. What I don't like about J Street is it's always emphasizing what divides Jews and what divides Israel, and it never talks about what unites us. It never talks about our common support. And if it would only change its tone, I wish J Street would join AIPAC and become a lobby on the left for what its views are. But it should bring together the values of the Jewish community. So I'm going to continue to support both civil liberties, civil rights, gay rights, women's rights, environmental rights. I'm going to always defend Israel from my liberal perspective. I'm a liberal Democrat. I supported Hillary Rodham Clinton. I supported Barack Obama. We'll talk about whether I still support them after what happened this week. But I'm going to always support Israel from a progressive, kind of centrist left point of view. And I urge others to support Israel from a centrist right or conservative point of view. Israel should never be a wedge issue. It should always be a consensus issue. So thank you for a great question.
Thank you, Alan. We're going to talk a lot about Israel, but I just want to delve into one other part of your background because I know you're no stranger to controversy. I'm told you were actually arrested in Europe fighting for issues you deeply believed in, and you were almost arrested for trying to import a Persian wine. Can you give us just a quick synopsis of those two episodes?
You're going to make it sound like I'm a career criminal. I've only actually been arrested twice in my life. Once in Fenway Park, where the Boston Red Sox play, because the police believed I had stolen tickets, and of course I didn't, and they were very apologetic, but they did arrest me and take me to the police station, and but I'm not so proud of that. But the second time, I have a picture, I carry it in my wallet, I'm so proud. I was actually arrested in Switzerland by the Swiss police that were guarding Ahmadinejad when I went to speak at the Durban II conference, and when the UN, to its everlasting disgrace, invited Ahmadinejad to deliver a speech to the Human Rights Council. I mean, sure, he's going to educate us a lot on human rights, how to more effectively kill dissidents, how to kill gays, how to, make sure that there's no right of free speech or freedom of religion. And so he was in the same, it was an amazing thing. I'm sitting with my wife. It's like the beginning of a bad story. My wife and I are sitting at a bar in the Intercontinental Hotel in Geneva, and who do you think walks in? Ahmadinejad. Little guy with a silly little jacket, and surrounded by a lot of guards. And my wife had the wherewithal to immediately shout out, "Boo!" She booed him. I was just shocked. So then I found out he was going to be giving a press conference on the second floor, and I have some press credentials myself, because I write a lot. And so I went up to speak to the press people before he got up there, and I said, look, when he gets up here, ask him. He denies the Holocaust. Has he ever been to Auschwitz? What books has he read about the Holocaust? Press him. Don't just let him talk about this. What does he mean when he says Israel should be wiped off the map? Does he mean that all the Jews who live in Israel should be wiped off the map? Ask him some hard questions. When the Swiss police heard me doing this, they literally carried me out. I can show you the picture afterward. Here I am being carried out by two big policemen, arrested, removed from the hotel for exercising my freedom of speech, told not to return to the hotel. Fortunately, I have some friends in high places in the White House, and I made some phone calls. And Samantha Powers, who is the President's advisor on human rights, made some phone calls, and the police released me and told me not to confront Ahmadinejad. And I did again. When he spoke at the UN, I managed to get myself into the speech, and as soon as he denied the Holocaust, I stood up and started walking out publicly, and a bunch of other delegates walked out publicly as well. Most of the European countries walked out. So this is an arrest I'm very proud of. The other story is perhaps as interesting to you. So I was in an auction in Israel at Sotheby's, and the person from the auction said, I know you'll be interested in this, I'm a collector of Judaica. And she showed me this magnificent Persian Jewish prayer rug. As you know, Muslims have prayer rugs that they put on the floor and pray, but Persian Jews historically, for many, many centuries, have had rugs that they hang on the wall and that have a picture of the Kotel, and surrounding it, pictures of the biblical characters, Abraham and Yaakov and Moshe and others, and also the Ten Commandments. And it was just a beautiful rug done in 1856. The name, the person who weaved it was on there, the date, and I bought it. And I had it sent to my house, and instead of the rug coming to my house, the federal government came to my house and said, you have committed a crime. You have tried to import something in violation of the anti-Khomeini, anti-Iranian boycott. And I said, no, I did my homework. This rug was never in Iran. I have the papers to show it was sent to Palestine from Persia in 1922. Iran wasn't established until 1932. So this was never in Iran. They said, no, Iran is Persia, Persia is Iran. So I went to the shelf of my house and I took out a copy of the Bible, and I turned to Megillat Esther, the book of Esther, and I read to them that Persia extends Mehodu Viad Kush, from Ethiopia to India. And by pointing to the Bible, I got to win my case, and I got to keep my rug. So my yeshiva education served me well, at least in some respects, as a lawyer getting to keep my rug. And that rug now proudly hangs in the middle of my living room. It's one of the most beautiful rugs you can imagine. And the part about the Kotel, which is about as high as your hand would be, is all rubbed out. The rest of the rug is pristine, but the part about the Kotel is all rubbed out. Why? Because for 150 years, everybody who passed that touched the Kotel and kissed it. And that was the tradition. And so it's beautifully rubbed out, and I love the rubbing out part as much because it represents thousands of Persian Jews who touched that rug and showed their love for Jerusalem and their love for Israel.
Thank you, Alan. We're going to jump into Israel now, but I want to throw out one challenge to you, because there's a member of our audience here tonight who was a student of yours back in 1972. And I'm going to challenge you to, over the course of the night, to identify him from a few hundred guests you have here.
This will show you the strength of eyewitness testimony if I can do this, right?
So, jumping into Israel, Alan, Vice President Biden stated last week that the cornerstone of the relationship with Israel is absolute, total, unvarnished commitment to Israel's security. Michael Oren came out a few days ago and he said that U.S.-Israel relations are at their worst since 1975. Should we be worried about the U.S.-Israel relationship and what's really going on behind the scenes?
We should not worry about the United States-Israel relationship. We should worry about the Obama administration-Israel relationship. President Obama has to know that Israel is here to stay. President Obama may be or may not be here to stay. And we, like every other American citizen, have influence on whether Obama is a one-term or a two-term president. There is no problem with the United States' relationship with Israel. American Congress supports Israel. The American people support Israel overwhelmingly. And this administration, which I have supported, and I have supported its policies until just now, and the policy that I've supported is this, and some of you in this audience may disagree with me. I've always believed the policy was very simple and right, and that the Obama administration has sent a very careful message to Israel. We will support you on your security issues. We will support you on your war in Gaza. After all, the United States rejected the Goldstone report, supported Israel's right to attack Gaza after 8,000 rockets. We will support you on Lebanon. We will support you in relation to Iran. We'll see how extensive that support is, but the United States will support Israel when it comes to security. But don't ask us to support you on the civilian settlements. That's not our policy. It was not the Clinton policy, it was not the Bush policy, and it's not the Obama policy. And, by the way, it's not the Dershowitz policy. I don't support Israel on the settlements. I'll tell you that going back to 1970,